Good morning.
Good morning.
Today's session is interesting in some way because it talks about the very old Chinese wisdom and also a lot of Chinese traditional medicine is associated with this five elements concept. So I thought maybe if this particular concept has not been discussed in your platform earlier, then maybe it is a good thing to discuss because many of our daily activities, daily emotions, daily illnesses are associated with these five elements and how they function. So that is the background of the session. So quickly, I'll just take you through how it works. Of course, as you see here, there are total of five elements that we talk about. The Chinese wisdom talks about. It's fire, wood, water, metal, earth. Or you can say the other way around, fire, earth, metal, water, wood. Okay. So these are the four, and all the five elements that you see are interconnected to each other as well. Now, before we go deep into this discussion, I'll just take you through some practical aspects of mind and body connection. Now, we know that many a times, due to several reasons, when we interact with people, when we are exposed to circumstances, office, home, outdoor, indoor, so many things, we are exposed to a lot of emotions. And some of these emotions are positive, they are healthy, but then some of the emotions are also negative. And it could be anything, very low level emotions, or sometimes not so low level emotions, but negative emotions are negative all the time. So it could be fear, anxiety, stress, guilt, in any kind of these negative emotions. Now, when you are exposed to negative emotions, that also impacts our physical body. So emotions are not always emotions, they come and they go. They also leave a scar in our physical body at times, and it distorts or disturbs our body's energy system, the aura system that is there just outside. So the moment the aura system and the energy system is disturbed, that leads to manifestation in physical ailments, mental ailments, emotional ailments. Sometimes prolonged negative emotions can lead to depression even. And we try to come out of it, but then it is such a kind of a cycle that you keep on moving in that cycle, and you find it close to impossible to come out of those kind of high level of negative emotions, including depression and so on. Some of the negative emotions are kind of inbuilt in us, and no matter how much we try, we are, as human beings, it is close to impossible to come out of those emotions. For example, if you talk about fear, I mean, there is no animal that is fearless. We are all scared at times. For example, if we see fire somewhere, we are fearful of fire. If there's a rage somewhere, we are fearful of a tornado or a rage. We are fearful of that. Sometimes even say anger. I mean, we have even in our Hindu mythology, or even other mythologies you have seen, even the gods have displayed anger so many times, and due to anger they have sometimes destroyed so many things. So destruction is a automatic outcome of anger. So anger is again something that no matter how much you try, it is not possible to become a person of zero anger. Maybe you suppress your anger, which is even worse, because then it gets suppressed and it impacts your body energy system again. So it is not about suppressing anger, it is about not to have anger at all, which is the ideal situation. But how many of us can actually reach that kind of a level of no anger? It's kind of utopian thought. So many of these things, and also, for example, guilt. Suppose you promise your son or daughter that, okay, today, we will go for a movie, and you are stuck with some office activity. And for some reason, you are unable to come out of your office, and you had to cut a sorry figure to your son or daughter. And while your son or daughter might understand, okay, mom or father had some previous engagement, and that was like very important, he could not bypass. But within yourself, you might have a guilt. Oh my God, I promised, I thought I'll take my son or daughter for a movie or for a dinner party today, and I could not. So guilt comes. And some of these negative emotions are so, they flow inside our energy system so smoothly that you can't even realize until it distorts your system. You don't even realize that you had guilt. Now, once you go deep and try to introspect what happens, then you can understand, oh my God, I really have a guilt issue. Oh my God, I am fearful to things for which I should not be fearful. These kind of things. But then the point is that each of these negative emotions do impact our physical body, our ailments, our mental systems, and of course, emotional levels. So this is the background based on which the whole session today of five elements is based. And this is just a small example of how, for example, if you are suffering from stress, how it can impact your adrenal glands, and it can impact your glucose structures in your body, even the flow of blood through your heart, and so on. So it could lead to thyroid issues and so on. It could lead to BP issues, metabolism issues, and so on. So this is just a small example of just something like stress, which more or less everybody has some amount of stress every day, maybe very little or very high, but we all go through it. And such a simple thing like stress can lead to increase in blood sugar. Did we ever imagine that? Perhaps not. So these are issues which are related to our emotions. And if it is deep, then it leads to physical ailments. Okay. So this leads us to the discussion of the five elements. And as I told you, the five elements that you see here are wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And each of the colors are also demonstrated there. So these are the colors that they stand for. And if I take, just like I was discussing about anger, anger is a emotion, and anger is an emotion that impacts the liver. Okay. Now, suppressed anger, which essentially means if you suppress your anger for a long period of time, it leads to liver issues. Okay. Now here, as you see, there is something called the yin organ and the yang organ. Many of you are, I mean, I'm sure quite familiar with the discussions of yin and the yang, but others who are not, let me tell you, this is one of the very, very ancient traditional Chinese wisdom. And it says that each of the actions, each of the activities, each of the forms on this earth have always two contradicting, two opposite forces, the positive and the negative, all the time. And that in the language of economics is called dialectical materialism, which is always like, for example, if a bulb is glowing, how is a bulb glowing? It is the positive and the negative forces unite together to create the energy, and that is how it manifests in the form of light. So same way, yin and the yang are two concepts, and they are opposite to each other. For example, if yin stands for earth, then yang stands for heaven. Okay, it is not which is better or which is what. Don't become judgmental here. It is just what they stand for. Okay, similarly, yin is more feminine in nature. So because it is feminine in nature, it is also soft. Okay, but yang is more masculine. It represents maleness. Okay, so as it represents maleness, it represents hardness also, stiffness also. Okay, yin energy always talks about softness, and for example, it can represent sleep, whereas yang implies action. Yin can depict darkness, yang is light. Yin is passive, yang is active. Or for example, if yin is north, then yang is south, for example. Or yin can represent the lower part of the body, whereas yang implies the higher part of the body, upper part of the body. Okay, so there are different ways, but the point is that yin and yang are complementary to each other. One is not complete without the other. Okay, so there are yin organs and yang organs in the body. So when we talk about the different elements, so each element also stands for some emotions and the part of the body that they actively and passively impact. So yin is the passive impact of the body and yang is the active impact of the body. Okay, so for example, if you talk about wood, wood element, if for first, I think we should understand what do they stand for when we talk about wood. Wood actually stands for hope, courage, growth, power, vitality, and so on. These are the things that wood stands for: hope and courage, and growth and power, and so on. So if your wood element in your body is not up to the mark, then it can impact your eyesight, it can lead to anger. And that in turn can impact your gallbladder. So many people, you must have heard, suffer from gallbladder stone. And I'm sure many of you are aware that gallbladder stone, once upon a time, today maybe it is different, but used to happen with feminine gender more than males. It happens to ladies more than males. Why? Because our societal structure is so that females are not supposed to express their anger much. Male express their anger and they forget it. Female are not supposed to express their anger much, and female, they generally don't express their anger much. They suppress it. They try to suppress it. That is the female characteristic. Okay. Now, the moment you try to suppress your anger, it impacts your gallbladder. And gallbladder stones are very common among female. Even men have, but it is less in men than female. Okay. And in turn, it impacts your liver. Okay. So gallbladder is also directly connected with your eyes. It can lead to eyesight issues. So then the practice or some remedy of the wood element can help this whole mechanism that you see here. Similarly, if you talk about fire, obviously you can understand fire is associated with heat, with summer. Okay. Now, fire also implies passion. You have the passion, which means that you have the fire in yourself. Okay. So fire implies heat, passion. It also implies transformation, because whenever there is fire, fire can transform things. So, for example, fire can change. Suppose I have a lump of metal. With fire, I can change the shape and create a beautiful utensil. So, fire is also a symbol of transformation. Okay, but if there is excessive fire, it leads to anxiety and depression. Okay, the sensory organ is the tongue, the taste that you feel. Okay, now when fire element is not balanced in our body, then there are issues related to the small intestine. Okay, and fire also impacts the yin energy, which is the heart. Okay, so this is the fire part. Next, if you come to earth, as you know, earth represents transition, and earth also depicts some kind of a stability. If you are earth, if you are grounded, we say, then you are stable. So earth denotes stability. It also denotes birth, growth, also decay. So when there is earth, wherever there is earth, there is also life. So which means it depicts birth and growth, and also decay, which also implies some bit of a transformation taking place there. So earth, if you look at the season is a transitional season. It doesn't really reflect either it's a spring or summer or autumn. It doesn't. So it is transition. That is what it shows. And if your earth element is not balanced, then it could lead to worry, tension, stress, which nowadays many people face. Now, this particular element is very interesting. Interesting in the sense that if you look, maybe you look back, say, 25 or 30 or 50 years back, most people were grounded. They had a relationship with Mother Earth. Today, our relationship is with internet. So we are not grounded. And because we are not grounded, worry and tension and stress has increased a lot. Obviously, we don't connect tension and worry with groundedness, but it is true. So when the earth element is not balanced, worry is the emotion that it manifests with. Okay. And when you are very worried, when you are always having tension and stress, then the acid secretion in your stomach, pancreas increases. That leads to stomach ailments and also your spleen. Okay. So earth is also about the sensory organ is mouth, speech, expression. If you are unable to express yourself well, then it leads to these issues. Okay. Next that comes is metal. Metal element is it's about uh, hardness. It's about hardness, but at the same time, metal is also about accuracy. Metal is not a fluid. So metal has its measurements very clear. It is measurable, it is visible, it is perceivable, it is very discrete from that sense. So metal implies accuracy, also implies strength. It implies a lot of strength. And metal also implies admiration for whatever is good. So for example, gold is a metal, and we all admire the glitter of gold. So metal also demonstrates admiration. Now, if metal element is not balanced, then that could lead to sadness and grief. Okay. Now, sadness and grief can lead to, again, suppressed emotions. And when your emotions are suppressed, it can be anything. It can be even anger. When your grief or sadness is suppressed, you are unable to express your sadness and grief. Often you will find your nostrils gets blocked. Your nose gets blocked. Very simple exercise, which all of you will agree with me. Have you noticed if you are weeping for a long time, if you are crying for a long time, you also have a running nose? That is the indication. The moment there's too much of grief, it impacts the nose, and you will not be able to smell well. And grief and sadness is also connected to the skin. If you hold your grief for a very long time, it can lead to skin diseases. It can impact your intestine, large intestine, and diseases associated with the lungs. The last is the water element, as you see there. Water implies cold. And water, that is why implies the season winter. Water, actually, if it is very balanced, it implies that you are very receptive, you are egoless, you are acceptable to change, you are also balanced to a large extent. You understand what is right and what is wrong. But if your water element is unbalanced, is not in the right shape, then that could lead to fear. The emotion that it would represent is fear. Fear of not being grounded, fear of not being receptive. Now, whenever there's ego, please understand, water implies egoless self. But the moment you have ego, ego builds ego. And if you have ego, there is always a tension of restoring your ego also. For example, if you have wealth, you take a lot of pain to accumulate wealth. But once you accumulate wealth, the next worry is how do you retain the wealth? It should not just pass away. If you are poor, you don't have that tension. You don't have wealth. So there's no point, no discussion of how to reserve your wealth. So same way, ego, if you build an ego, then you have a self in you which would want to restore the ego also. Because you will always feel, my God, I am so and so. So the moment you have that feeling of I am so and so, you also have the feeling of how do I restore and how do I move even farther up? Your objective will never become how to become egoless. That impacts the kidneys. Also often leads to UTI. It also impacts bones and joints, especially the knees. So the fear of losing is associated with imbalanced water. And that is what ego stands for. If you have ego, you always have the fear of losing your ego. The sensory organ associated with it is your ears. Because you would always want to hear people praising you. And the moment you don't hear that, people praising you, you are upset. That leads to several other emotions. And physically, it ends up impacting your kidneys and urinary bladder and urinary tract infections and so on. So this is actually a very, very interesting discussion. And each one of us should actually look into it and how it happens and so on. Also, the five elements are interconnected with each other. If you look at wood, wood burns and becomes fire. Fire results in ash, and ash is the principal element of earth, soil, earth. Okay. Earth also is the bed, is the home of so many metals. So when earth hardens, it becomes rocks. From rocks, you get metals. If you are melting metals, it becomes liquid. And one form of liquid is water. And water feeds plants that leads to wood. Now, suppose you are looking at essence, draws essence. Wood draws or passes its essence to earth. Fire can melt metal. And earth can cut water. Water can cut fire, if you see there. Or water can extinguish, you can say, extinguish fire. Fire can melt metal. Earth can destroy water. So, for example, if there is a huge flood, we can create a dam. Dam, not the artificial dam. Suppose a natural dam of earth, of soil, huge, tall barrier. So earth can stop water and so on. So each one of these are interconnected also. So if you think that they are just, I mean, I have an imbalance of wood, so others are all fine. Yes, today they can be fine. But if it is very prolonged, then it can lead to other problems also, because emotional issues, the negative emotions do not come in silos. They always accompany one another. The moment you start with anger, anger can very soon lead to some kind of a grief within, and so on. Now, very interestingly, I also thought that instead of just discussing what are the problems there, it is also important to show or tell you what are the remedies for this. What can we do to get rid of these also? So, if you are talking about, the uh, water element, okay, the healing exercise there is you have to sit in this position, catching hold of your legs round that way. And when you inhale, you have to visualize blue light filling into your kidney. You can also visualize blue light filling your urinary bladder or even the entire pelvic area. And as you exhale, you have to sound the word chew, 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 that way. Okay, so that will release all the fear from the kidney. Okay, so the posture, sit. You don't need to sit upright. Just sit with folded legs, knees folded. When you clasp your knees, fingers, your arms are intertwined. You have to look up. And when you inhale, you have to visualize blue light filling your kidney. When you exhale, you have to sound the word chew to release fear from your kidney. So this is the first exercise. The second exercise, similarly, is for the wood element. And this is the posture that you see there. Okay, the posture is slightly tilted towards the left. If you notice carefully, it is tilted slightly. From your angle, it might look right, but you are stretching upward to the left. Okay, fingers intertwined or interlaced. Okay, and you are looking upwards. Visualize green light entering your liver. Okay, when you inhale, you have to visualize green light entering inside your liver. And when you exhale, you have to sound the word sure, 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 sure. You don't need to utter the word very loudly, but it should be at least so loud that you can hear yourself. That is always the mantra of uttering or chanting mantras also. Okay, so you should, the noise, the voice should be at least so loud that you can hear yourself. That creates the vibrations to heal. Okay, so if it is the wood element, then the sound associated is sha. Okay, that releases anger from the heart. So while you inhale, you are visualizing green light entering your liver. When you exhale, you are also visualizing anger leaving your heart. Okay, anger leaving your heart when you chant the word or sound the word sha. Okay, sha when you're saying, then anger is leaving your heart. Okay. The next, fire element. Fire element is posture is the same, but only thing is you are now tilted towards the right. Okay. And as it is red, you are visualizing red light shining within your heart. Inhalation. So when you inhale, you are visualizing red light shining within your heart. And when you're exhaling, you are sounding ha. Okay. And you also visualize that all anxiety that is there in your heart gets released completely. Okay. So as you are exhaling, ha, ha. Do you realize that many a times when we are stressed, when we are not in our proper energy, we make this kind of stuff. Ha, we make this kind of a sound. So this is exactly very intuitive also. Okay, that also heals your blood vessels, your blood vessels that are connected to the heart, connects to the rest of the body. Okay, so this is for exhalation. Metal element, for the metal element, sorry, I think there's a mistake. The sound for the metal element is not ha, it is ah, I think. uh AHH, I think. Yeah. A HHH, not ha. Okay. AHW, I think. So anyway, so for the metal element, you have to visualize red light shining within your heart, and as you exhale, it is release of ah. Okay, so ah, ah, ah. So when you release ah, it is anxiety leaving your heart. Okay, and the last that you see is earth element. You have to visualize yellow light covering your spleen, your stomach, and your pancreas, the entire torso region, the lower torso region. You have to, and when you exhale, you have to visualize that you are able to release all the worry and all the tensions that is stored in your digestive system. Okay, so you are when you are exhaling, you are sounding the word whoo. Okay, whoo, 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 that way. And hands position is also mentioned there. And keep your head straight, not up, not down. Keep your head straight. So these are the 5 exercises which are there. And last, there is an exercise if you are interested. It is the healing exercise of the upper and the middle part of the body, and it actually depends a lot on visualizing clear energy flowing throughout your body. Energy in Chinese language is called chi, which we in India call prana. So it is the same as prana. Okay, so you can sound the word he, allowing the vibration of love to fill entire body. Love is something that can melt all emotions that is stored in your body. Any wrong, negative emotions that is stored in your body can be healed through love. So when you just lie down in Savasana position, you can just lie down and allow vibrations of love to fill your entire body. And when you do that, you have to sound the word he. Okay. Well, that's it. So that was the session. I'm done. I am ready to take questions if at all.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Devashish, for a wonderful session and also telling us how to we can address these issues. So
Yeah, only addressing problems is not right.
yeah, agree totally. So I think Jaykumarji has been. Jaykumarji, are you wanting to ask?
Yeah, no, I have no question, but I wanted to acknowledge Devashish ji. Very simply explained everything, but we have to put it to practice. So
Yes,
that will
yes.
give me a lot of relief in many areas. And moreover, I will do it, and then I'll tell my son also. He is having that OCD and anxiety. So I will also tell him to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Is
Okay.
there any time and duration in Devashish ji that one needs?
Mornings are better. Mornings are better after you wake up. Mornings are always better for these exercises because these exercises are so short that you can finish the entire set of exercises in just 8 minutes or so.
And is there any number like per exercise, like or it's just like how many times one needs to,
Um,
or
well, you can gradually increase, but I mean, initially maybe 2 minutes per exercise is also fine. 1.5, 90 seconds per exercise is also fine, to start with. And I think Meenaji was asking whether there is any simple method to ground ourselves. Well, being grounded is extremely important. One method that I have followed to remain grounded is actually being connected to the ground. So morning, you will always have these dews on grass. So early morning, if you can just go for a very short walk, if you don't have time, don't worry. Even for 5 minutes, if you can go for a walk with barefoot on the grass, Okay, and feel the touch of the dews on the grass, and inhale and exhale for following the normal pranayam, 2 2 4 or 2 3 6 kind of a structure of breathing. That will help you to be grounded a lot. Thank you all. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your precious time.
Thank you so much, Debasis.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And looking forward to see you again.
Thank you, Ji.